Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's been programmed right into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Let's jump right on in. I am Andy, and joining me is my life partner in all things, Minna.
So this is kind of like Independence Week, right?
Yes, we had Canada Independence Day, we had Mexico Independence Day, and then we have, of course, U.S. Independence Day, right?
Right. So, we went to Mexico City for a few days. How do you like it?
I think it was a really fun experience. That is like the largest city in Mexico compared to the other cities we've gone to, like Cancun and Merida and Playa del Carmen. It's a very different feel.
For sure. And Mexico City is kind of like a very vibrant city. It has all the technology, it has high buildings, there's a lot of banks. It has everything, and yet they preserve the historical buildings, the statues, the structures really well. So that was actually kind of amazing.
Yeah, and they have everything that US has, like the major stores, the major restaurants, but they managed to still have it relatively inexpensive for everything else, like their transportation, their parking. It's their the use of public bikes, right? It's such an amazing city.
It's actually very, very impressive. The way they keep everything clean and consider how many people there's a lot of people. And the traffic is bad, but the public transportation system is really good, is very affordable, and the food's really good. So I like it.
And just one thing, when we talk about chronically healthy life and independence, and for independence is financial independence. And it was funny, me and Minna were spending our time there in Mexico, and I was like, wow, I wonder how much people are making here, and they're making between $1.85 to $2.30 an hour in US dollars, and yet people there are doing well, right? They may not be shopping at Apple Store or Lululemon or these high-end flagship stores, but they are making a great living. Everyone seems happy, and it's not really about keep raising the minimum wage like some certain cities keep doing and making all the small businesses go out of business, right? So it's just a really good way of showing us that it can be done, right?
Definitely. Yeah, and people are happy, and they're healthy, and I love it. So let's move on to our show today. We're doing something different today.
Yeah, so we're doing something a little different since it's Independence Week, and we figured we'll have the show be a little independent by itself. So we're showcasing and highlighting previous speakers that really embody what it means to live a chronically healthy life. And life stands for longevity, anything to do with health and fitness, anything to do with eating, what you do, what you exercise, but more importantly, how you heal your body, how you're going to live longer, and how to stay away from all these drugs that have all these problems, right?
Right. So when we talk about longevity, we think about always health first, right? So who's our first guest?
Our first guest is Sherry McCants, and our topic here is really about, does getting old really mean that you have to get sick? Check it out. It's a common belief that as we get older, we generally have less energy, we recover slower, we get sick all the time. Those people right now is getting sick all the time around us. It's pretty crazy, and they think that's normal because they're old. And of course, they think that because you get old, you develop chronic diseases like diabetes, heart conditions, high blood pressure, the big C. They think
Right.
all these things happen, right?
Right.
And, over the last 11 years, I've been chasing the fountain of youth, natural, holistic ways to not only heal your body, but basically slow down the aging process from a car accident that I had back in my teens that really broken my body. And it's been my passion to figure out how to heal previous damage, but also to live longer and look younger while we're doing it. And, briefly, me and Minna talked about the different modalities out there, like the infrared, the cryotherapy. We own a pulse electronic magnetic therapy mat. We have red light therapy, and one of the really good things is hyperbaric chamber. And all these things has been shown to, help regenerate your body and to help generate stem cells. But they are so crazy expensive. And like I said, who has the time to find spaces to do all these modalities a day? And when I met Sherry a year ago, she shared, hey Andy, there's a simple technology that you can use your body, heal yourself. And I said, hey, let me check it out. And now I'm hooked. It's been over a year. Sherry, can you share with us, why there's this big misconception that because you're getting old, that it's really not about your age, that you have all these chronic conditions?
Right. Well, first of all, the New England Journal of Medicine has stated that the number one indicator of wellness is how many adult stem cells that you actually have in your bloodstream. And most people don't know this, but a teenager has 1 billion. That's a lot of cells, right? But at age 30, you only have half of that. And then by 60, hardly any. So I'm 58. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I said, I am going to be proactive. I want to regenerate those stem cells that I have. Maybe there's 2 left, right? And like what you just said, as far as how you can also, use those expensive tools, this is a little patch that activates your own stem cells. How cool is that?
That is so cool. But you hear about stem cells all the time. It's like everyone's talking about stem cells. It's all over Hollywood, and people are eating placentas. They're doing all this crazy stuff to get stem cells back into the body. Because I hear about that. I hear people actually save their placentas from birth. And I don't know what they do with it. They grind it down or whatever, but they're eating it back to regenerate stem cells. And of course, stem cell, therapy is so expensive, right, Sherry?
Right. So this is actually phototherapy, like you said, and it's like, walking out in the sun and getting vitamin D. It just reflects off this patch. It activates your copper peptide, which activates your own stem cells. So this is, basically God that's healing your body. So it's just amazing. I mean, our bodies were amazing anyway, right? So if we just do the right things with our bodies, we can heal. We can heal ourselves.
That's awesome. So we're talking about stem cells. So, is there a doctor in the house that can share with us really what stem cells are all about and why they're so important?
Yes, let's watch a quick clip from Dr. Leland, why stem cells are so important as we get older.
Great.
So stem cells are cells that can grow, and then the word we use is differentiate into other types of cells. Sure. I want you to think about it in terms of like, you could take dollars in your checking account or a credit card, and you could go out and you could buy anything. You could turn it into whatever you needed, right? You could turn it into a car, you could turn it into a house, you could turn it into a shed, you could turn it into tools, you could turn it into LifeWave patches. Whatever you want to turn it into, you can turn it into that, right? But at the end of the day, if you don't have any cash in the bank, how do you turn your car into money for groceries, right? So the body has this finite number of cells that we call stem cells, and the stem cells themselves become anything you need. You need new heart cells, they become heart cells. You need new brain cells, they become brain cells. You need new hip cells, new joint capsule cells, new bone cells, new muscle cells, new whatever cells, those stem cells become those cells. They're all over your body, they can travel through your circulatory system. And the thing about stem cells is they, as you mentioned, they go into what we call senescence, and they begin to run out as we get older. This is part of the aging process, right? And so the name of the game really of anti-aging and regenerative medicine might easily be summed up in keeping as many stem cells around for as long as possible and keeping them as powerful as possible.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So anything that does that tends to help people recover from illness, avoid degenerative diseases of aging. I'm talking about heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, obesity, all the things that people today have learned to fear, unfortunately. And the name of the game is keeping the stem cells well to mitigate or prevent those illnesses and recover from them, because illness is a part of life. It's a fact of life. We're all getting older. And so we all want to be in as good a position to recover when we do have a medical problem as possible. And that's why stem cells are so important.
So, he explains it so great in simple terms why we need stem cells. It's like cash in the bank, right? You need cash to have all these things, and stem cells is going to be turning it into whatever your body needs to repair itself. So can you show us a patch again there, Sherry?
Yeah, I can show you a patch, and then I'm also going to let you know also, think about your car, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are in a car accident, right, something, then you have to go and get it fixed and all that. But while you have your car, you change your oil, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you make sure your tires are good, the alignment and all that. I just think that all works just like, we have our bodies. We don't want it to get chronically ill, right? When we found out that this small little patch can activate your stem cells and keep you healthier and younger, why not do that, right?
That is so true. You hit my second passion. I love cars, and in a previous life, I used to make cars go faster, right? To perform at a higher level. And it's sort of funny now that I'm helping people perform at a higher level, right? But it's exactly like you said. People spend all this money maintaining the car, and yet they don't do anything on a daily basis to maintain themselves, right? And I think when you're talking about these patches, it can help you maintain yourself by generating stem cells.
So I love how Sherry's, had the metaphor about car maintenance, because, health is really about maintaining. It's not about going to emergency all the time or taking pills when you get sick. It's a matter of not getting sick, right?
Exactly. There's no magic silver bullet. If you want to have excellent health, excellent longevity, you have to do something daily to help your body regenerate itself. And I think that is the greatest metaphor there.
Yeah, and I think the earlier you start, the better. Like she said, what is with the stem cells?
At age 30, you lose half of your stem cells. You start with 1 billion, and you lose half of it by age 30, and by 60, you barely have any. And guess what? We're like 50 and a half already, so we're like almost to 60. So that's why where's my stem cell patch? It's somewhere. I think it's behind my neck. That's why we're wearing our patches, to make sure our bodies are always regenerating stem cells.
Right. So something to ponder for you. No matter where you are in your age, it's never too late to start. Just think about maintaining, develop maintenance as a habit, rather than going to hospitals, emergencies. Drop all that.
Exactly. And our next guest is going to be talking about financial independence. And like what Minna says, all these visits to the hospitals, we're getting older. Guess what? They deplete all your savings. Check this video out. Strap in, folks. We're about to take a joyride through the fountain of youth. It's Annie Nam from Chronically Healthy Life. Ever wonder why some folks seem to age like fine wine, while others are more like a molded cheese that's been forgotten in the back of the fridge? It's like they got the energy of a Duracell bunny on Red Bull, while the rest of us are running on fumes. Now, you might think hitting the gym and munching on kale is the ticket to eternal youth, but sometimes it feels more like we're just speeding up the aging process. Picture this: you're on the treadmill, feeling like $1 million, and suddenly you look down and realize your knees sound like a bag of popcorn in the microwave. Not exactly the sound of youth, am I right? But fear not, my friends, because here's the kicker. It's not just about the number of candles on your birthday cake. It's all about those sneaky little stem cells playing hide and seek inside your body. At the age of 20, you got more of these bad boys than you can shake a stick at. But fast forward a few decades, and they're scarce as a parking spot in downtown Manhattan. But guess what? We got a secret weapon up our sleeves. Phototherapy patch technology without drugs. That's right, folks. With our stem cell activation patches, you can hit the rewind button on aging faster than you can say reverse aging. So if you're ready to reclaim your youth, look younger, feel stronger, and heal faster than a superhero with a side of espresso, then it's time to hop on board the rejuvenation train. Get your stem cell activation patches now at lifewave.com/chronically healthy life. And let's make aging look like yesterday's news. It's not anti-aging, it's reverse aging, baby.
So fundamentally, people need to understand, how you look at the money. How do you look at the money? What's your relationship to the money? And that's the number one thing they have to start. Because truly wealthy people, they love money, but they know what money can do.
Yes.
You could benefit churches you care. You could help homeless. You could create your own organization to just help more people.
Correct.
Because our highest calling in our human nature is to help more people. That's really what human desire. But if you cannot even help yourself, how can you help more people? If you are on a plane, the plane is going to lose its control. Who are you going to put in the mask first? Yourself.
Correct.
Got to start yourself first, and then we could spread more love to others.
I love that, because so many people, it's like you said, they demonize money. They see all these wealthy people and they think that money is a bad thing. But like we just said, it's like, how can you take care of anyone else if you can't take care of yourself, right? Everything does start with yourself and your mindset. I totally believe in that, like warrior your mind. What you believe in is where you're going to go. So if you're thinking that wealth is evil and you're basically having a poor mindset, everything you can do, you can be making more money, but you're going to spending it all because you think having savings is a bad thing. But what you said was life-changing there. It's like, but it's not all about you. It's like how money can help others, how it can help your family, how it can help other businesses, nonprofits. You can donate to charities. This is what the power of money is. So what do you think is the next step that people really need to get into?
Next step is to start learning. I think, a lot of people say, oh, I've got my CPA, I've got my financial advisor. Let me ask that question. You have a doctor, right? Do you think your doctor can cure all your illnesses?
No.
Okay. So really, if you have a coach, and who is going to be the one that's actually going, physical coach, let's say fitness coach, you are a fitness coach, it. So you're training somebody, but who is the one that's actually going to take action and make it happen? You.
The person that I'm training, they have to do the work, right? I can't do the push-ups for them.
Exactly. They have to mentally be ready.
Yes.
Same with financial planning. And most people, they basically want to give up ownership of their own rights. That is the completely wrong way. Say, oh, my doctor is going to take care of me, or my financial advisor is going to take care of me. That is so not true. You work all your life for your money one day so you can live free. But you know what? And unfortunately, you have to learn. You take ownership because it's quite complex. And I want to tell you, most advisors don't even know.
So, for financial independence, is it all about money?
No, financial independence is money just give you the ticket. Like, to me, wouldn't you want to live a life where money just come to you? You don't have to work for money. You wake up every day, you go to gym, and then you serve. You find an organization you could serve and help other people. You volunteer. We all want that life. I mean, we all want to serve more. But if you're still worried about paying bills every day, you could run out of money every day, and which a lot of seniors are going through all the time. Or you have health crisis, like that's your expertise, right? And if you don't take care of your health, and so many people in the last few years, they exhaust all their life savings during the last several years of their life because of the health crisis. So
that is so true, because a lot of people, they don't think about it. They work so hard, they're not taking care of their health, and then later on, they don't even have enough money to take care of the health problems later on in their life, right?
Because people worry so much about money, and they ignore the health. And they ignore their mind, ignore their happiness, the soul, because our body are composed of 3 parts. In order for us to be fulfilled in a one unit, you got to be able to look at all three units, three parts, the soul and body and health.
Why is it so hard for people to learn about financial literacy? Like, isn't this taught in schools?
Very good question. And that's an unbelievable question. Absolutely. It's not taught anywhere. I mean, we have people with PhD degree. We have people with finance degree and come into our firm to want to learn. And then once it's some of the basic concept that's, we address in the book, How Money Works. It's simple. It's written for 8th graders, but it's never taught. I mean, yesterday I just had a simple conversation with someone who is highly educated, who has been in the real estate investor for many, many years, but now feel like he's got burnout from, having to repair, maintenance, and constantly with tenants. He said, like, okay, what can I do to get out of it? And then I just started introducing a simple concept, rule of 72. And almost 9 or 10 out of 10 I asked for have not heard of it. Or maybe I kind of heard of it. I don't really know. Maybe you can explain to me a little bit more.
Yeah. So what's the rule 72?
Rule 72 is created by Albert Einstein.
Okay.
I'm sure most people know this name.
Yes.
The simple mathematical formula, 72 divided by the interest rate equals how long it's going to take for your money to double. So if you earn 1% interest, 72 divided by 1, your money will double in 72 years. But we all know S&P average returns 8 to 10%. So let's say 10%. So 72 divided by 10 is 7. Your money, 7.2. Your money will double in 7.2 years. So if you earning 1%, double 72 years. Do we have more than 172 years in our lifespan? But we have many 7.2 years. The compounding effect of your money multiplication is unbelievably powerful. And that book will give you some examples, how compounding works. That simple interest, this simple concept, and guess what? Banks use it to profit for themselves. And then most people give the money to the bank so that their money can be compounded over the years. And then over the years, and then they turn around, borrow money from the bank, pay about 20 to 29% interest rate. Your debt will double in 3 years. Your saving will double in 72 years.
Correct.
Is that fundamentally wrong?
It's very interesting now that we talk about interest rates. The interest rates are going up all the time, right? For the last
Exactly. It's
year
through the
so.
roof, right? Exactly.
So when interest rate goes up, it's actually good that if you're a saver, you start saving money, then you compound it faster. But if you're on the other side, you're the borrower, you actually owe a lot more money much faster too. So it works both ways.
Exactly. Especially with so many everyone's using their credit cards now, and what credit cards is charging that 20 to 29%,
go
right?
up to like 20 something.
Yeah, it's high. It can get pretty crazy. Exactly.
Yeah, so it's a lot of times, what she said is really true, that they don't teach you anything about that in school. They don't teach you how to manage your finances. They don't even tell you what it means.
Exactly. So after the short break, who are we going to have as our next guest, Minna?
I think we're going to, now that we talk about health and finances, let's move on to relationships.
Yeah, which is part of F, which is part of family.
Oh, okay, so you're in family. We'll be back.
Hello. We are Mutts and Meows Rescue, a 501c3 nonprofit, foster-based, no-kill group. Mutts and Meows Rescue pulls dogs and cats from surrounding shelters in the greater Houston area. We even pick up dogs and cats abandoned on the streets. Mutts and Meows Rescue is foster-based and rely on your donations to keep rescuing. To know more about us is to know more about our furry friends and help them find their forever homes. Come visit us at Mutts and Meows Rescue on Facebook today and decide how you can make a difference.
So marriage therapy actually didn't work for me and my husband, and I was a marriage therapist. So I was like, well, now what? Right? So although I love marriage therapy and I believe in it wholeheartedly, there are appropriate times and places for you to engage in that. And so I help the population where maybe one partner isn't willing to go. And what do you do then? Right? Because most people just say, well, I guess we need a divorce then because you're not willing to do the work with me. And I created an opportunity for people to do the work and still transform the relationship. Yeah.
That's interesting because, on like TV, they always see couples counseling as two people sitting together and fighting. So you actually took a different path. You talked to the one that's willing to talk to you.
Exactly. And that's the reason why I did that and I do that is because my husband wasn't willing to go to therapy, even though he went because he was threatened that, that tends to be the case, right? Like, if we don't go to couples or marriage therapy, then it's over. And of course, the other partner's like, well, I don't want it to end yet, so yeah, I'll try it. And that was his extent of his willingness to go. And it wasn't enough to create a successful experience. So yeah, I love working with the one who wants to work. And it's new information. Most people don't realize that the marriage can improve with just working with the partner who wants to do the work.
So how would someone know that they should come to you for help?
Yeah, well, I guess that's a great question, because most people think, oh, marriage therapy is the first thing we should try. And for most people, it fails, right? That's because it's just not appropriate yet. So you would know to reach out to me for support if your partner's not willing to go, or if there's hesitation, or if there's like this, I don't really want to work on myself, but if I'll do it for you, that's never a good sign, right? Like doing something for someone else, there is no internal motivation, and that will create a lot of discord down the line. So the threshold is normally 3 months. So for any of you watching, if you went to therapy for 3 months and then it didn't work, that's normally the threshold. Somebody can fake it till they, to the point of they're done. They're like, yeah, I'll come, I'll be there, I'll show up, I'll do some of the work. And then at the 3 month mark, they're like, nope, don't want to be here anymore, I'm done. And yeah, that's where either if you hit that wall, you can come see me, or if you know already and you don't want to ever hit that wall, then you can come see me before that.
So how would one know that they're in trouble with their marriage?
It's more of, I think it's a subjective thing, right? There's not this cookie cutter way to know if you need help or not. For me and for many of my clients, it's this feeling of being in what I call the cycle of insanity. Like you're just on this never-ending wheel of feeling crazy, feeling like you're broken, feeling like something's wrong, but you don't know what it is. And you're a part of the problem, but you can't figure out what it is. And your partner's not willing to change, right? Those are a lot of the, I guess, identifiers as to when someone actually needs support and help. Most people wait till they're on the brink of divorce to get help. But if there's any struggle in communication, I know you and Andy were speaking about communication earlier on this segment. And really, if the communication is not, you're not communicating and it's not coherent, then yeah, it's a great time to reach out for support.
Yeah, because I know that, my family, we don't have a whole lot of divorces as opposed to Andy's family. Everybody divorced in his family. Yeah. So I guess the only experience I have is my own sister, probably about 15 years ago.
Okay.
She went through a divorce, but the interesting part is she was really unhappy, whereas my brother-in-law had no clue something is going on with her. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But is that like a typical relationship?
That is kind of common. That's actually common because that's normally why the spouse is resistant to couples, is because they're fine. they're like, what's wrong with our relationship? Why do we have to go tell someone our problems? I'm fine. We're good. I don't need to work on anything. I'm happy, right? And even if it's not happy, I'm content. And so many a times, it's hard because one partner really wants to do work on the relationship and sees the challenges and feels frustrated, while the other one is content, or maybe even in this state of not wanting to shake things up or change anything, right? So that's really common.
Interesting. So, what would your teaching look like when you just work with a client? What is it? What is it involved?
That's a great question. I don't do a whole bunch of lecturing and teaching. I think that life is the best curriculum that you can ever get. So I tell my clients to bring what's happening in their relationship, bring what's happening in their life, and I will teach them the tools that they need to get through whatever they're feeling stuck in that moment. And I think being able to apply something in real time, right, when it's happening, will help you retain all of that information much longer. So when they work with me, it's really just coming to the calls, sharing what's going on. We talk about wins and gratitudes and the tools that they need just to get through whatever they're going through.
So I know you have teaching points. Can you walk us through what does it look like?
Yeah. So the teaching points that I have for us today, really presence is my title. So you see here on the screen, it says Marriage Mind Shift Coach. And the reality is, in order to transform the relationship, it really starts within yourself, right? Oh, just pulled my hair. Just improving relationships from within is the title of this segment. And that's what we're doing. We're shifting our mind in order to transform the relationship. And so I wanted to share with you 3 of the main mind shifts, right? Mindset shifts that I teach my clients in order to help them to create this transformation. So the first one is that, wait, let me just make sure I say it in the order that I told you I was going to say it in, because that's important. But, and now I misplaced my notes. It's okay. I'll just go off the cuff. So first and foremost, your partner is a perfect reflection of your subconscious beliefs. And I'll let you chew on that for a second. You have a question? Did a question pop in?
What does that mean? It's like how do I know what my subconscious beliefs are?
Well, that's the thing. Most people don't know what their subconscious beliefs are because it's subconscious, right? So, but what you can do is look at your partner and say, what bugs me about them? What are my pet peeves? What are the challenges that we're seeing on a repeated basis? Well, that's what your subconscious beliefs are about either relationships, about men, about women, about marriage, right? About communication. There's so many different beliefs that we operate from at any given moment. And the only way to change our results is to change the subconscious programming that we have. But if you don't know your subconscious programming, you can't change. Well, now you know that your best tool is your spouse. So, and the beautiful part about this is what you shared earlier, Minna, is you said, and I was taking notes earlier in this segment, don't push the buttons. Just don't. Figure it out and then don't push it, right? And that's what most couples end up doing. They end up pushing the buttons over and over.
It's kind of interesting how she ties relationship into part of life, right? And we talked about relationships. We talked about health and finances before. When between a couple, assuming your health situation changes or your finance situation changes, that's usually when your relationship starts breaking down.
Agreed. Or sometimes it has to do with your kids. Like, here's our
This guy.
oldest here, and he definitely missed us for the last 4 days. But yeah, these are things you need to talk about for relationships to work. And I think she works so differently. And if anyone, if you're having any relationship problems, you definitely should look her up.
All right. So who's our next guest?
Our next guest, we're continuing on family, but we're going to talk about teaching children young on what health means.
All right.
We all hope to age gracefully so we can enjoy later years with energy, vitality, and good health. But so often with age, our bodies show signs of things just aren't the same as they used to be. Our energy, skin, healing recovery time, and sleep all go downhill. If you had physical trauma that happened to your body like I did, this happens much faster. I felt like a 30-year-old trapped in an 80-year-old body. But do you remember as kids, the boundless energy we had, how fast we recovered? This is not because of getting old, but because of active stem cells inside our bodies. These are the cells that can generate and regenerate all the cells and structures in the human body. They are the building blocks of our organs, tissues, blood, and immune system. They also serve as an innate repair system everywhere inside the body. But as we get older, stem cell activity slows down, become less effective in repairing damage, and decline. By the age of 20, we only have 1 billion stem cells left. By 30, they decline by 60%. By 50, they decline by 75%. 60 by 90%. And by 80, we're lucky to have 50 million active stem cells. But what if we can naturally stimulate our bodies to reactivate and regenerate new stem cells through phototherapy without drugs? Now we can with our LifeWave X39 stem cell activation patches. Reclaim your youth and look younger, feel stronger, perform better, and heal faster. Get your patches now at lifewave.com/chronically healthy life. It's not anti-aging, it is reverse aging.
Let's talk about some educational tools or resources that, like, how could parents start to find out some of these things for themselves?
Yeah.
Start to investigate, start to learn about it for themselves, and maybe make some changes for both themselves and their children, their whole family.
Right. Yeah. So there's a book. It was Dr. Robert Mendelssohn's How to Raise a Healthy Child in Spite of Your Doctor. And he was a pediatrician and MD, and he just realized that Western medicine just does not get it right all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So there's in that book, there's he just emphasizes parents listening to their intuition. He gives advice and encouragement for that. Just some easy kind of preventative measures for parents to take care of their children. He talks about all the normal childhood illnesses, all of the chicken pox and the measles and the mumps and, all the scary things that we've been taught, you don't want your kids to get that because they can become sterile, or, you don't want your kids to get that because then they'll have shingles when they're older, or, they could go blind, or, all these things. And he just breaks it down for you so that you understand those things are rare, very rare. And if you're caring for your child while they're ill in a very common sense manner, like you're not feeding them the Takis and the Cheetos and the Otter Pops and the garbage, your body is designed to heal. So, he just kind of gives a more natural approach to treating those kinds of things. I just like to tell parents to try to return to our original design. So if you look back in time, how were we originally created, right? We weren't originally created to get our food off of a shelf out of a package. We were traditionally designed to pick it off the plant and eat it. Go hunt it and eat it, right? Mm-hmm. We weren't taught all of these, industrialized preservation kinds of things, right? If we need to preserve it, great. But if we don't have to, eat it fresh and as close to nature as possible. And to get kids involved in that, My 5-year-old, she sits at the end of the counter and she loves chopping with me. And I'm not afraid of her using a knife. Like, I used to feel really scared when my kids would hold a knife, but like I've taught her, this is going to hurt if you cut your fingers. So keep your fingers out of the way. And this is how you do it. And I show her, and she sits at the end of the counter, and she helps make food. And, do I let her have a treat every now and again? Sure. But, I also point out that it's full of all kinds of stuff that we shouldn't be normally having. And this is just,
right. But it's
of detoxing some of these things, but there's things that we come into contact with without our consent that our body has to deal with. And if we're choosing these things, we're putting more burden. Get your kids in the kitchen, get them out in the garden. Even if you don't have space for a garden, do container gardening. Put some pots on your back porch or your front porch. Turn your lawn into a garden if you have to. Teach them the way that we were designed to originally care for our bodies and nourish our bodies. When it comes to illness, because kids get sick. We all get sick. It happens. It's our body's natural detox method of getting rid of the stuff that it's accumulated, and it's normal and natural to get sick. But so many parents are afraid of not feeding their kids when they're sick. And it's like, fasting has so many benefits, and it's not going to kill our children if they go a whole day without a solid food. Like bone broth is perfect. And if they need more substance than that, make a, vegetable bone broth soup, maybe some chicken in there, using herbal teas, clear liquids, get rid of the sugary juices, the popsicles, those kinds of things can wait until it's summertime and they're healthy and they're running around and, out in the sunshine. But
that is, actually, I remember as a child being forced to eat when I was sick, and I was saying, I don't want it. I don't want it. And they would not listen to me. And that's part of it. It's like, listen to your child. If they're telling you no, at least get liquids down them because they can get dehydrated. But if they're sipping water or herbal tea, just leave them alone.
Yeah.
Let them
Yes. And another good way too, there are some herbal teas that don't taste good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and some kids just don't like them no matter how good you make them taste, right? Whatever herbs you put in there, they just are like, oh, I don't like that. But you can take some blueberries or some lemon or some orange and squeeze a little bit in there and kind of make it like a fruit infused tea. And it makes it so much better. I mean, you can even make herbal tea with juice, like popsicles. I've done that for my kids too. And
that's a great idea.
It's so important just to keep them hydrated. Fevers are not something to fear unless your kid has fallen and hit their head. That's when you have to worry about a fever because maybe they've had some damage to the part of their brain that's in charge of keeping their temperature regulated. But that was another thing that I learned in Dr. Mendelssohn's book is your brain has a thermostat and it has a heat set point and it won't go above that unless there is something seriously wrong with you and brain damage, as long as you're hydrated. If you're hydrated, it's I tell parents this all the time too at my workshops, that if you think of the rainforest, right? It's very, it gets a lot of rain, but it's very hot and it's very humid. There's so much moisture and there's so much life. It's abundant.
It's refreshing to hear Carmen talk about how she brings up the kids, because we see a lot of, all our friends, they raise their kids giving them everything they want, but not nutrition.
That is true. They don't know how to cook for themselves. They don't know what to eat properly. They're all eating these little juice boxes. And just because this is organic doesn't mean it's necessarily better. It's still ultra processed. Right.
It's not even just that, right? It's just whatever the kid asks for, they just give it to them, regardless whether it's actually good for them or not. So you're giving them everything they want, but what they need is the nutrition, not necessarily the chips, the junk food, the whatever it is that because nowadays eat, right?
So true, so true. So who do we have as our next guest?
So I like the next guest because she's talking about dealing with. I was going to say something else, but let's go with difficult people.
Yes, and we have a lot of those in our life, right? All these negative, difficult people. And she gives a great framework as to how to deal with them. Let's check it out. We all hope to age gracefully so we can enjoy later years with energy, vitality, and good health. But so often with age, our bodies show signs of things just aren't the same as they used to be. Our energy, skin, healing recovery time, and sleep all go downhill. If you had physical trauma that happened to your body like I did, this happens much faster. I felt like a 30-year-old trapped in an 80-year-old body. But do you remember as kids, the boundless energy we had, how fast we recovered? This is not because of getting old, but because of active stem cells inside our bodies. These are the cells that can generate and regenerate all the cells and structures in the human body. They are the building blocks of our organs, tissues, blood, and immune system. They also serve as an innate repair system everywhere inside the body. But as we get older, stem cell activity slows down, become less effective in repairing damage, and decline. By the age of 20, we only have 1 billion stem cells left. By 30, they decline by 60%. By 50, they decline by 75%. 60 by 9%, and by 80, we're lucky to have 50 million active stem cells. But what if we can naturally stimulate our bodies to reactivate and regenerate new stem cells through phototherapy without drugs? Now we can with our LifeWave X39 stem cell activation patches. Reclaim your youth and look younger, feel stronger, perform better, and heal faster. Get your patches now at lifewave.com/chronically healthy life. It's not anti-aging, it is reverse aging.
What do you think it would be the first thing we should become aware of to start thinking this way, to changing our mindset about this?
And I have a system, and it comes from other conflict resolution practitioners. It's really knowing about where it came from, the trigger that you had when you came into conflict. Whether when you were a child, going through school or family life, or your first job, whatever your experience is, that's the trigger for you and how your response was, or is, and it's automatic. So we utilize the Thomas Kilmann conflict mode instrument, and that indicates what your level or what your mode is when you're in conflict with someone.
What does that mean, like your first response? Does that mean like if somebody triggers you? Well, let's take an example of like someone at work, like a difficult boss. Maybe is one of those types that likes to yell and doesn't actually tell you what they want from you. So I get yelled at and then I'm triggered, and I'm triggered because of
what happened in your life. Whatever happened in your life when you had a yeller in your life, your first response is that mode. So whether you're a shark, and we call them, there's animals related to it. You're a shark, an owl, a fox, or a turtle, or a teddy bear. You're either push back, or you are like, you give up something, I give up something, you avoid the conflict completely, or you're like, oh, you do whatever you want because I want to appease you, or there's the owl, the one that wants to collaborate and takes the step back and wants to listen to the person. Because when anyone is yelling at you, there's something deeper going on. And it's not about the difficult person, it's actually about difficult behavior.
Okay, so we take a step back, and this person's yelling, and I'm triggered, but I don't have to be triggered. I can say, no, I'm going to just like relax here. And the person, it's about their behavior.
Yes.
Okay, so then what would be effective communication tool besides, slapping them upside the head?
And then there's the other ones, right? Fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. The ones that don't say anything, or the ones that hide, or the ones that appease the boss. go ahead and take a step back, and you're going to have to wait till the person stops yelling to really get them engaged. And when they're ready, say, hey, you know what, I really want to discuss this, but I want it a time when we really can collaborate with one another and see where we can come to a solution. So let's figure out a time to talk. And it's simple as that sometimes.
Hopefully.
Chronic yellers are either the ones that are super concerned there's something going on with them, the ones that are not. So I believe that people, when they manage someone or manage someone, they either are using their parenting skills or the way that they were parented.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. It's like a joke that you turn into your mother or father or whatever, and unless you're really aware, which is what you're talking about, becoming really aware and making a conscious choice to do something different.
And saying to this person, it sounds like you're really concerned about this. It sounds like that you're very stressed about it right now. What are you feeling? Because you want this person to get to a place to name their emotion. Because when they start to name their emotion, then they can move on from there. And maybe that they have that opportunity to talk. The thing is, even with negative thoughts, when we have a negative thought, when we're dealing with that person and we're getting triggered, we need to switch that thought really quickly. So that takes a lot of practice. Mm-hmm. And maybe the first thing is taking a deep breath. Yeah.
Taking a deep breath is always a good idea.
And making sure to exhale and inhale and saying, maybe it's nothing to do with me. If it is, then we can work it out. But maybe it's something going on with them.
No matter what the situation is, then you can kind of create sort of a safety zone. Mm-hmm. And then where do you go from there? If you have managed to get them into kind of a safe zone, how do you then elevate that communication?
And it's different scenarios for different things and different cases, right? So it's like, for example, for the boss that's yelling at you, and then they feel safe in that moment where you're having that conversation and they're into collaboration. Then you're asking them questions. You're actually coaching them to really find out, like naming the feeling, then really putting out there what the frustration was. Well, you didn't meet the quota this week, or you didn't come up to my expectations, or let's figure out what we can outline right now. So then it's becoming objective. So the whole thing is another redirecting, right? It's taking out that personal thing, that looking at the person as like, oh, this person's attacking me, and seeing it on paper really helps. So writing down what the problem is or the situation is, and then let's figure out how we can solve it together.
Do you think that might be a little intimidating for people to start trying that?
It's completely, yes, very intimidating. So, and I don't want people to start ganging up on a boss, right? And this is where I come into a lot of organizations. I'm the third party. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it is the second in command, the vice president, the co-manager, who shines the light on that behavior, who needs to open up their eyes. So if there's an HR person or someone that can help you with that, it's so helpful, because I've seen a lot of organizations that have that second in command person. It's actually the second boss that kind of helps even the playing field for everyone.
Well, there are difficult people in our environment, so I hope Vince's advice helps you all. And we hope you like our Independence Day special today.
So join us normally Friday at 7 p.m. CST. I don't know what happened today. Show's going to be showing a little later. But you can watch past episodes at watche360tv.com. In the Vitality TV network or on our YouTube channel at Chronically Healthy Life. If you'd like to know more about what we do and how we can help you live a chronically healthy life, make sure to visit us at our website, chronicallyhealthylife.com. And if you have any comments, questions, suggestions about our show, comment on our Facebook page, Chronically Healthy Life, or email us at anything@chronicallyhealthylife.com. We'll see you next week.